From the moment we can hold a crayon or be forced to squeak out hot cross buns, we're told one thing: be unique. Be the top student, win awards, land that coveted job, and above all, aim for the kind of greatness and hotness that sets you apart. But with the endless parade of identical influencers all doing the same thing and copy-paste faces flooding our social media, it makes you wonder, what is the fucking point? In a world where you can be famous for just being famous, why put in any effort at all? Why try hard to set yourself apart when you can just copy what everyone else is doing, or even just straight up wear someone else's skin and cash in on the fame and money without even breaking a sweat? Across social media, influencers and creators have built followings by copying not just trends, but entire ideas, word for word, frame by frame, to attract viewers, engagement, and money.
Is this dude copying me? I can't tell.
And it works. Copycats amass thousands of followers, proving that sameness is both successful and profitable. And that kind of success really drives home a contradiction we just simply can't ignore. While everyone's told to stand out and be authentic, social media rewards people for being and looking the same. So let's talk about the messy paradox of sameness and how social media turned copying into basically a business model. We're going to unpack how sameness is both successful and gives us the ick. And as a bonus, we'll look at what it means for us try-hard brokies in a world where being unique can feel like a challenge, because apparently being the same is what gets you ahead.
You know what everyone says about you? They say that you're a homeschooled jungle freak who's a less hot version of me.
If you don't want to be irrelevant and poor, you're constantly told that being different is the key to standing out in real life and especially online. But the reality is that platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube actually reward sameness. Their algorithms push viral trends, making it easier for creators to get noticed by copying what's already popular. And speaking of copying what's already trending, there's one creator who really took it to the next level: Yuyi. Yuyi is a TikToker who posts videos showing off interesting fashion pieces and how to style them. On the surface, it seems like your standard fashion content, right? Pretty harmless. But a few months ago, Yuyi was exposed by fellow fashion TikToker Taylor Timinskis for copying her content. And not just copy as in taking inspiration or borrowing a theme. Girl, I'm talking like literal plagiarism.
This girl has built an entire platform off of copying other people, and I'm the main target. Yay, let me show you what I mean. So we've seen butterfly resin tops, but this is a bow butterfly resin top.
I love a good resin top. So when I saw this bow butterfly resin top,
It's a UV reactive dress.
let's style this UV reactive dress.
It has that same pink iridescent look with all these gold accents.
See this opalescent pearly pink bag to go with. The details are
It feels like jelly.
actually like jello.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay, I've seen this video a bunch of times, and every time I watch it, it is so cringe. So a lot of content creators make a script or outline of what they want to say in a video, and it's not to be fake, it's just to make sure you're saying all the ideas you want to get across. So when Taylor did the pow 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 thing, I think that was a genuine moment for her. For Yuyi to copy that is such weird, cringe behavior. Yuyi built a social media career off copying not just Taylor, but another TikToker named V Luong too.
I was her first ever victim.
But despite being called out, she's like thriving, racking up views and followers like nothing happened.
Let me know what you think.
Yuyi is living proof that apparently you don't need any originality to succeed.
Okay, stop copying me. Stop copying me!
As cringy as it is, and as much as I feel like secondhand embarrassment for creators like yuyi, chua, I can't help but feel for them too. At the end of the day, everyone wants the same things, right? Success and financial stability, especially in this economy. But at the end of the day, that doesn't excuse straight up copying, because there are some clear ethical lines being crossed when it comes to ripping off someone else's work. But before we talk about these ethics, it's important to separate what we mean by copying from the idea of trends. Trends are part of the social landscape. They're shared behaviors, styles, or challenges that a lot of people participate in at the same time. Think things like viral dance challenges, popular fashion items, or memes that everyone puts their spin on. Even orcas participate in trends too. Did you know that there was this trend with orcas where they wore dead fish as hats? It's real, look it up, and apparently hats for orcas are back in fashion after almost 40 years of being out of style. Trends are basically the way people come together and express themselves as a part of a bigger community, and most of the time there's nothing wrong with joining in. Copying, though, is different. It's when someone takes another creator's original work, whether it's their content, ideas, or identity, down to the tiniest details and tries to pass it off as their own. It's all about replication, not exactly collaboration, and can end up exploiting smaller creators. On social media, smaller creators are often the ones that are innovating, but because they don't have the same reach or resources as bigger influencers or brands, their work can get easily copied by someone with more visibility. And you can imagine how frustrating it is when you've put a lot of thought and effort into something only to get it ripped out of your hands by someone more popular or a big company. And we've seen this in examples like Shein copying smaller creators' designs, which they've been called out on multiple times. And the fact that they don't have the same resources as the bigger companies makes it impossible for them to fight back. So I know we talked about yuyi, chua earlier, but can you believe that there's another creator that takes it even further than yuyi? Enter Paige Neimann. She's an influencer who gained attention for looking almost identical to global pop singer Ariana Grande. And I mean identical. Like, these days, I can't even tell the difference between Paige Neimann and Ariana Grande. While Paige isn't exactly copying Ariana's intellectual property like her music, she's literally built an online persona by mimicking Ariana's entire identity. I mean, girl cosplayed Ariana's wedding photos. And while this isn't plagiarizing in a traditional sense, it's clearly like a step beyond participating in a trend, right? Paige has gone so far as to create explicit content on OnlyFans while mimicking Ariana. It's obvious to see that this kind of content is downright harmful, because it's not only misleading people into thinking Paige's OnlyFans content is somehow endorsed by Ariana, it's also crossing boundaries and is incredibly violating, especially to Ariana Grande herself. Cases like Shein, yuyi, chua, and Paige Neimann shows us that copying, especially when it crosses the line from inspiration to straight up replication, can not only be cringe, but in some cases harmful too. And the more we reward copying and let it slide, the less reason there is for people to actually be original. Earlier, I joked about what's the point of being unique when you can just copy someone else, but let's be serious. Relying on copying as a strategy might bring quick wins, but it doesn't build a sustainable, meaningful presence. You will always be known as the cheap imitation, the dollar store Walmart version of the original, if you will. We haven't really seen conversations respecting people who copy. In fact, copycats get pretty negative reception with the audience. And when trends inevitably move on, those who built their following by copying often are left scrambling to find the next thing to latch onto. I'm genuinely happy and honestly a bit relieved that pop culture today celebrates uniqueness, at least to some extent. Sure, some of it might feel performative, but there's undeniably more variety now than there was even a couple decades ago. It wasn't that long ago where many pop stars fit a nearly identical mold. Just think back to the 90s and early 2000s with icons like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, who, despite their differences, were pretty much the same archetype. Nowadays, we have the Billie Eilishes and the Chappell Rowans of the world breaking the mold. Speaking of Chappell Rowan, there was a performance she had at her breakthrough Tiny Desk performance where she had lipstick on her teeth. So people were curious on that and wondered if it was a fashion mistake, but Chappell later shared that it was intentional. She said that it was a way for her to challenge the hyper-polished, pristine image so often expected of female artists. And she did it knowing millions of people would see it. For me, that was pretty cool and such a strong reminder that being unique still holds so much value. But let me play devil's advocate for a second. I get that it's empowering and poetic to tell people to just be yourself and embrace your uniqueness. But constantly chasing that uniqueness is not always as rewarding as it's made out to be, and I'll tell you why. While being unique is great and admirable, the pressure to constantly stand out can be exhausting and unsustainable. Like, I'm sure artists and other content creators can relate to this pressure. And honestly, as a new creator, I already feel this. So this might not be that great to you, but my first video I posted on YouTube has over like 20,000 views so far, which is a pretty big deal to me. I'm really proud of this accomplishment, as I was really hoping at least like a handful of other people other than me and my husband would watch it. So the fact that it has 20,000 views on it is just like, wow. But now my crippling anxiety of being unique enough to stand out on YouTube is like extra crippling. I just really feel like I have to constantly outdo myself to stay relevant, which I recently realized isn't sustainable or healthy. And honestly, I think even if you're not an artist or creator, you can relate to this kind of pressure. It's there when you're trying to stand out on a date, or when you're writing a resume and trying to make yourself look unique enough to land that job. We're constantly taught to be different, to be the best. And that can be exhausting. It's the same mindset that makes us chase after recognition and validation, even when it comes to the expense of our well-being. So sometimes it's okay to copy, to blend in, to do what everyone else is doing. It's okay to jump on a TikTok trend, try out a popular fashion style, or follow the crowd when it feels right for you. You don't have to stand out all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think we have to remind ourselves that what truly matters is staying authentic to yourself, whether that means jumping on a trend because it genuinely resonates with you, or stepping away to carve your own path when it doesn't. Now, of course, there's a line between drawing inspiration and harmful copying, but when done thoughtfully, participating in shared moments can be a way of connecting rather than conforming. In other words, whatever you're doing is great, and all your hard work will be recognized, especially if you recognize it in yourself. Just don't be a cringe copycat and don't lose yourself in the process. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.